thing, Logan. Are you doing it without
What's up,
without
freaks?
me in the studio?
I believe we
That's
are.
we're live. What is up, freaks? Is right. I am in Fort Worth, Texas. The North America Blockchain Summit is going on. I'm up here. It's a lot of politicians, a lot of mining, a lot of people wearing cowboy boots. Fort Worth, very interesting city. First time in Fort Worth. Have you ever been, Matt?
I've been to Dallas. They're like more or less the same, right? As I said it, I'm just gonna get shat on by so many people.
Yeah, I think you'll get shot for saying that. You could get
They share an airport.
it's a fighting words.
Isn't the airport Dallas Fort Worth?
Dallas.
Well,
Yeah, I
anyway,
think it's its
anyway,
own
Fort
thing.
Worth
I think it's
freaks.
got its own thing.
No disrespect meant by that comment, but disrespect meant by this comment. Uh, you guys are hosting a shitcoin event in your town. What's going on over there?
Well, not my town. I'm from Austin.
Yeah, no, that was for the Fort
So,
Worth freaks. I
oh,
retracted my previous disrespect and threw an additional disrespect there. Did you see any of the talks? Is there any like blockchain, not Bitcoin talks?
not that I saw. I saw Caitlin Long. She gave a good presentation on Operation Choke Point 2.0, the scumbags at the FTIC. Did you see what's going on there with that scandal?
No. What
Custodia is
happened?
an option for all these companies. Apparently, there's some the FDIC spending taxpayer money or
Marty, have you looked at
taxpayer money
mempools
on.
lately?
Yeah, they're clearing, dude. It's
They're,
awesome.
what is, they're clearing my ass. It's fucking crazy,
Yeah,
dude. There are wallets to this day that don't let you child pays for parent unconfirmed transactions easily, which is crazy to me. It's just fucking crazy. I don't know about you, but my DMs are just filled with people with stuck transactions.
ordinals, man. They're minting a bunch of stuff.
Can't stop them.
Can't stop them. The
I
ordinals
w-
people are in my menchies this week. Like, haha, haha. In April, you said it was a fad.
if well, I think mempools won't clear regardless of ordinals, but people that have transactions stuck right now might not find solace in this, but this is the type of pressure that results in better tools. So I think there's a lot of maintainers out there that are running different projects in the Bitcoin space that are seeing pain points because of the transaction fee pressure, because there's a massive transaction backlog in mempools worldwide. And as a result, we will see better tools. And unfortunately, the way the way humans are wired, usually you don't see that without some pressure. So we'll see the pressure happen. Wallets will get more efficient. They'll get easier to use. Tools in general will not break as much in high fee environments. Um, and then we'll proceed apace.
Yeah, it's typically how it works. It's been annoying. I've was talking to somebody on Monday who had never received a Bitcoin transaction or downloaded a wallet before. So I had them download a wallet. And I sent them $10 worth of Bitcoin on chain. And it cost me $2 in fees. 20% fee on chain for $10
Wow.
transaction.
Well, first of all, yeah, I mean, the, I've been more prepared than most, and even I have massive exposure to the fee market. I mean, I see a freak like Orange Crush, like Channel Force closes hurt in a whole new way. Don't even get me started on that. But Yeah, I mean, this is why proper UTXO management is important. This is why planning ahead is important. Hopefully, mempools will either clear or get lighter at some point in the future. And at that point, you should be ready to actually do some proper UTXO management. I mean, the ideal situation, right, is that this pressure helps different projects in the ecosystem evolve and improve. And then I win the bet with Marty on Christmas Eve, and then on Christmas, mempool's clear and gives us all like 2 or 3 months of reprieve so that people can get their affairs in order. But this is something that anyone who has a substantial amount of savings in Bitcoin, or even a smaller amount, but substantial percentage-wise to their total savings, really needs to like actually drill into and figure out a plan going forward. Because in these situations, when fees go up, the number one contributor to your total fee amount is how many inputs you have on the input side of the transaction. So if you have a bunch of small transactions and you try and send $20, but it has to combine 5 UTXOs for it, that transaction is going to cost you more than if it's just a single $20 input that pays that transaction. So it's about trying to find a balance between size of UTXOs and privacy, because if you combine UTXOs, you are obviously linking those UTXOs together. And I have a full guide at discreetlog.com/UTXOs.
You dropped that earlier this year, right?
Yeah, in February.
I have a feeling we're going to get a Christmas Eve miracle this year, and mempools are going to clear. I'm going to get 200,000 sats.
You want to double down?
Great. No, I'm good right now. I'm gonna.
Yeah, you seem pretty confident.
I'm very content with the value at risk of this particular bet right now. So I think we're gonna get a Christmas Eve miracle.
We're both paying way more in transaction fees than this bet amount.
Yeah, I mean, and with that in mind, we should go to Clark's dashboard. You titled this episode "Momentum is Building."
Can you feel it? Can you feel it in the air, Marty?
And as soon as we went live, the price of Bitcoin fell by $400 in the last.
Who said I was talking about the price? I was talking about the price. Yeah, the purchasing power of cows.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Matt Dines is making a very, very
former ride or die freak. Matt Dines in the comments
making a very, very good point. I won the original mempool clear bet. This is double or nothing for you.
Yeah, congratulations. You got a brief clear in there. At the end of the day, freaks
that you doubled up.
Freaks that
I don't owe you anything. I don't owe you anything, actually. We've been running with the wrong terms for like 6 months now. I don't owe you anything.
I know. I mean, I'm not going to owe you anything, but yes, it's been very clear that it's been a double down. I thought you understood that, but I guess not. Yeah, there was.
Yeah, but I don't.
I mean, you might not owe me sats, but you were wrong, and that is more important. It's not about the money; it's about sending a message. If you and the freaks had listened in February, you'd be in a way better UTXO situation right now.
It's true. Yellow, I can see you asking in the comments, what are you drinking, Marty? I'm drinking a nitro cold brew, and I just spilled it on my white shirt. So
nice. Momentum is building.
Type of I'm having right now. Momentum is building.
Coffee
on the shirt. The current price of Bitcoin. Oh,
yeah.
Go ahead.
What's the current price of Bitcoin?
$35,730. One cup.
Can you spell that in the air? Momentum is building.
What's that? It does feel like it.
You're a little congested over there, huh?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. A little tired. I'm still bear market budget. We're at this summit. Unchained is represented up here. My brother is at the conference as well. We're sharing a hotel room, and he's a big snorer, so didn't get great sleep last night.
It's good. We should still be doing bear market budgeting until. At what point do you stop doing bear market budgeting? Like a humble 42K? When do we start popping bottles?
I don't know. We're gonna stay humble this cycle. Are we really gonna internalize the?
I was at dinner with Marty, and he literally ordered champagne for the table at the top, at the top.
Pico top.
Yeah, so I think the key this time is we should just be ordering champagne throughout the whole cycle, so that it's impossible that it could be a reverse jinx, or just a jinx. I guess it's just a regular jinx.
Okay. All right. So next time we meet, we're getting champagne.
Maybe not 42K. Maybe
we.
At like 52K, Caps Odell's coming out and never going away. It's like that's the. I'm ready.
Ever?
Ready in my veins. I won't speak.
I've heard that one before.
Yeah. Caps Odell can't stay out for too long. It's bad for the soul.
Is he? Maybe bad for your soul, but good for the soul.
He makes rash decisions. We got Yellow in the comments, by the way. Can we just have a huge shout out for Yellow? I think when he decided to do the Don't Stop Believing spaces every day till 100K was also near the top, and he hasn't stopped. I believe he hasn't stopped. I mean, I'm not on Twitter anymore, but shout out to him for that. Don't Stop Believing, Yellow.
That song sucks.
That song sucks.
I can't imagine having to listen to that every day for 2 years.
He sings along to it too.
It's a terrible song.
They're holding on to the feeling.
It took off when we were in middle school. Was it like one of the big songs of your middle school dances when we were growing up?
Yes.
Yeah. It really took off.
Yellow said 3 days before the top is when he started.
Yeah.
Many such cases.
Let's not do that. Let's not start playing a song.
Well, no, the funniest thing was before I quit Twitter, Yellow was like, fucking A, I should have just done Good Morning, Stay Humble, Stack Sats every day instead of playing this song. Odell's got to figure it out.
It's much more efficient.
Yeah.
Much less annoying. Yellow, I wonder if you're going crazy having to listen to that song for almost 800 days in a row.
Did you see Yellow's most recent meme with the sailor with all the different translations? Yeah, I don't think he's fully lost it yet. Like that was top notch Yellow. Have you not seen it? Were you not there with me when we saw it? Logan, can you pull it up?
Spanish? Like him talking in Spanish? Yeah, I've seen this.
There's no second best.
¿Cuál es el mejor activo criptográfico? Bitcoin es el mejor. ¿Y el segundo mejor? No existe segundo mejor. No hay un segundo mejor activo criptográfico. Es Bitcoin.
Wait, keep going. Next one. No, you missed. You fucked it up.
比特币是最好的加密资产，没有第二号，没有第二号的加密资产，一种加密资产比特币。
Okay.
We're getting off the rails here. We're getting off the rails here, gentlemen.
Sorry. My point is Yellow hasn't lost his touch yet. He hasn't gone fully crazy yet.
Right.
Apologies.
I beg to differ. I think he's completely insane. To the list. A lot of talk this week. Momentum is building, and this is the type of momentum I want to see. I mean, we've talked a lot about the policy organizations that exist throughout Bitcoin. Coin Center is one of them, and this is exactly what you want to see in momentum. And something I've been really championing for the last 2 years. It's nice to see Coin Center coming to my support. I feel like we've been on this island fighting for this, but they wrote a piece this week. It's time to have the conversation. Is the Bank Secrecy Act unconstitutional? Beyond the speech and privacy issues, the BSA is a sweeping delegation of lawmaking power. Hopefully, this starts a conversation. So, Matt, why don't you give us a little bank secrecy history?
I'm not like a bank secrecy specialist, but first of all, the act name is like a complete fucking psyop because it's the opposite of banks having secrecy. It's about banks sharing everything on all their fucking users. But yeah, I mean, I've always been right there with you, Marty, on repealing the Bank Secrecy Act or getting rid of it or however that looks, just defeating it in courts. It's clearly unconstitutional. But I feel very disenfranchised at this point, and I don't think that is a realistic thing to happen. But Coin Center spends a shit ton of money lobbying all these different things every year. They should just spend all their money just fighting this in court. Like, is there anything better to fight? I think you just fight this.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally what all the worst privacy encroachments stem from. Whether it's, I mean, it started with the $10,000 limit. Anything below $10,000, you don't have to report to the government. Obviously, any transaction. So, $10,000 transaction with the way inflation's been over the last 4 decades, not as much money as it was when the act was initially signed into law. Top of that, this is the reason why the Financial Action Task Force exists, why all this KYC AML regulation exists, why the travel rule exists. It all stems from the Bank Secrecy Act. And as Coin Center points out, it's a massive encroachment on civil liberties, and the ambiguity with which the law was written back in the 70s just really allows the government to abuse its power in terms of the amount of data it forces financial institutions to collect on their users and share with the government. So yeah, I think this is a big thing. Speaking about momentum, you don't think it will ever happen. I would put the likelihood rather low as well. However, with that being said, Vivek Ramaswamy was on stage with the conference. What are you laughing at?
The politicians aren't going to save us, Marty.
I know. Well, that's why I prefaced it with the likelihood is low.
You want to bet on it?
No.
Okay.
However,
we'll report the transaction.
He did get on stage and say he would be in favor of repealing it.
That's great. Yeah. One of the things they use to do this, because it's clearly against it breaks the Fourth Amendment, which is unwarranted search and seizure, is they have this idea that they call the third party doctrine. So if you trust a bank, a trusted third party, with your data, then you don't have an expectation of privacy. And the reason I bring this up is because Bitcoin is in a very unique situation where you can use Bitcoin. The whole point of Bitcoin is that you don't have to trust any third parties. So you can use Bitcoin without trusting a single third party. And it's one of the core, constitutional arguments, one of the core constitutional arguments for why private Bitcoin usage is protected. So that's something that Bitcoiners should keep in mind. It doesn't mean, corrupt regulators and whatnot and politicians will try and expand their reach. But as as I'm not a constitutional lawyer, but as far as I'm concerned, private Bitcoin usage is protected by both the first and the fourth as a result.
Yeah, you are a resident constitutional law expert, so we're going to take your word.
Yeah, don't go into constitutional law freaks. Just stack sites instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you're already in constitutional law, fight it. We'll support you.
This is great to see from Coin Center. Let's get more of this. Who knows? Likelihood is low. Maybe we will repeal the Bank Secrecy Act one day.
Doubtful. Bitcoin standard will come first. What?
The politicians are coming to save us, dude. They're all here. They're all here campaigning, trying to buy the Bitcoin vote, the crypto vote.
So grateful.
They're campaigning hard. They're promising us they're going to fix it. Just vote for them. I
saw like Vivek. I love that we all just pronounce Vivek now. He has a proposal that he's just gonna fire anyone that works for the government that has an odd social security number.
I love that.
And like the top comment was, well, now we all know he has an even social security number. Just day one, fire everyone with an odd social security number and then start from there.
That's a good policy.
It would fire half of the bureaucrats.
Would you be down for that? Would you vote to ensure that happened?
I'm not, no. But I mean, I'm not against the idea of just indiscriminately firing half of the bureaucrats. That specific policy is not something that I would, I question his belief that everything would still function normally. There's probably like at least like a dozen really important bureaucrats that have odd numbers, but I don't know how that shit works.
No, I mean, what did Elon?
You think the even guys are the ones carrying it?
No, I just don't think they do anything productive. Did you see?
Any of them? None of them do.
None of them. Zero, literally.
Okay, so let's just fire them all. Why are we even stopping at the odd numbers?
Yeah, let's fire them all. I mean, did you see another?
They're firing themselves. We're good.
Another failed audit of the Pentagon. Do you have that on the list?
No, I don't have that on the list. I kept the list like kind of tight because you're away, but I also know that how I make the list doesn't stop you from bringing up things. So I wasn't too concerned.
No.
In Mandibles, I forgot to bring this up last week, by the way, like how it all started in Mandibles was a failed treasury auction. And they like blamed it on cyber attacks as well. But yeah. They didn't say, they said technical glitch. They didn't say cyber attacks, but still. In Mandibles and in a lot of failed states, like one of the things you see is the bureaucracy increases, and at least like in terms of employment percentages, a large percentage of the populace ends up being employed by the government. So we probably won't see an end to the bureaucracy so soon. It'll probably expand and get even less efficient and worse as things decline. Then Bitcoin standard, and then you got to run a balanced budget if you're a government at that point.
And then Valhalla. It was I agree. There's gonna be more bureaucrats, but like pointing to the Pentagon story, Pentagon failed an independent annual audit of its $3.8 trillion military assets.
How much?
3.8 trillion.
How much is that in Bitcoin?
It's like right now that's like 5 Bitcoins.
No, that's like
market caps.
It's like I was gonna say it's like 110 million Bitcoin or something like that.
Yeah,
more Bitcoin than exist.
Yeah. So they failed that. That's more than 10% of the national debt that exists.
Have they ever passed an audit?
No, never. Again, they're bureaucrats. They can't do anything right. They can't even account for the things that they buy with your tax money.
You think the least bureaucrats could do is be good at Excel? Like I when I think of like my standard bureaucrat, I think like they're Excel wizards. Like they know all the commands and the macros and shit.
No, dude, they're still using like gridded paper to do all this. Apparently, you can't even keep up. This is the clown world. This is the clown world we live in, freaks. There's politicians on stage here telling you they're going to fix it. They're going to fire all the bureaucrats, but I feel like the pressure and the immensity of the system is such that it's very highly unlikely they're going to continue hiring more bureaucrats. It's the only thing this beast knows how to do. And I did actually catch a little bit of Caitlin Long's discussion with Peter McCormick on stage today, and she had some interesting comments about the Elizabeth Warren cohort that's really pushing these regulations against Bitcoin and broader crypto. And she's convinced, and there may be evidence that like the people in Warren's camp are legitimate, like communist Leninist that want a CBDC. And they will do everything they can to prevent Bitcoin from succeeding. And I believe she had a lot of sway at the FDIC, which prevented Custodia from getting their license for a considerable amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, I think the lessons of Custodia is like the same lesson like the Cherokee Indians learned from Andrew Jackson, which is if you want to play by the rules with a corrupt regime, they'll just throw out the rules when it suits them. I mean, the Cherokee, like they fought it all the way up to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court ruled that the land was theirs. They played by our rules completely, and then Andrew Jackson was like, "Fuck you, Trail of Tears." And it's the same exact fucking thing with Custodia. It's like you can't if you're asking permission by the people that you're trying to obsolete, they're going to say no.
Yeah, she actually, it wasn't her. Who else was I talking to? I was talking to somebody else at breakfast about this, but that's an interesting point. Like having companies in the space, them having a hard time getting bank accounts. Like I actually talked to a lawyer this morning, not like looking for advice, just happened to meet a lawyer. And he was explaining this to me. There are like some constitutional protections for companies in the space because a bank preventing a Bitcoin business from getting, there may be constitutional protections. A bank preventing a Bitcoin company from getting a bank account may be seen as an anti-competitive move on the bank's part because Bitcoin as a technology that sort of disrupt their business.
Someone should fight it in court. I'm not going to.
You're not going to actually offer you up to do that.
Look, the Custodia thing is super interesting to me because I guess we were thinking about it at length during all the bank runs when all the bank runs were happening. And it was just a constant topic of conversation. It was something that was on my head a lot. And there really is something there about you can't have, if you have a full reserve bank in a Ponzi banking system, all the banks will get run to the full reserve bank. And so it creates a systemic threat to your Ponzi banking system. You can't have a full reserve bank sitting there. And it's particularly in times of crisis, like when people are panicking, they will run to the bank that actually has their deposits and isn't running a Ponzi scheme. With that said, there's some interesting, analogies there with Bitcoin, right? Because Bitcoin is essentially a full reserve money system that doesn't rely on trust on anybody amid a global Ponzi fiat system. And so without asking permission and without having a trusted third party, Bitcoin exists. And as a result, what will happen is all the banks will get run into Bitcoin. The Ponzi will get run into Bitcoin, and no permission required. and from that thesis, momentum is building.
Yeah.
Are we just going to keep saying momentum is building over and over again in this episode?
Yeah, momentum is building.
Yeah, I agree.
You know where else it's building? In the Roman Sterlingov case. His defense is going to examine chain analysis heuristics under protective order, and the trial has been moved to February. For anybody who's unaware, we've been following this. Roman Sterlingov is one of the individuals who ran the Bitfog.
No, he did not.
Did not run Bitfog, involved with Bitfog.
No, he used Bitfog. He used Bitcoin Fog. He sent Bitcoin in. As a custodial mixer works, is you send Bitcoin in and you receive someone else's Bitcoin. That is what he did. And then he sent it to Kraken. And they're using chain surveillance and saying that he ran the service, even though he didn't. And the chain surveillance, particularly chain analysis, which is the name of the company, chain analysis, is a black box. They like make it very difficult to see where their analysis is, what it's based on. We've talked in the past about how the defense has tried to bring up expert witnesses, and they denigrate the expert witnesses, even though they're very knowledgeable about Bitcoin, and they couldn't ask for a better person to speak, but they do character assassination and make sure they can't speak. So chain analysis and the feds are playing a really fucked up, dangerous game here with this man's life, and the defense is fighting hard. And so the defense got a reprieve here where they're able to, I guess, like understand the data more because it's such a black box. So like actually see like what chain analysis is basing their bullshit on.
That's good. And sorry for the confusion on my end. I got Roman's case mixed up with the Tornado Cash case.
Yeah.
That's why.
It's fucking crazy, dude. It's not even an argument between like open source versus closed source. Like chain analysis is closed source. The argument is like chain analysis won't even give access to the defense to the closed source platform. Like they won't even give them a login to use their closed source platform to see, you know, how it works under the hood and how they fingered this guy as the operator. And on top of all of this, by the way, Bitcoin Fog still runs. He's been in custody for years. It's still running. So yeah, and I would also add on top of this, while we're talking about it, there's been a conflation between Coinjoin and mixing. Running a custodial mixer, for better or for worse, there's been precedent in the United States that is illegal. That if you're running a custodial mixer and you're receiving funds, holding other people's funds, and then sending them different funds for the sake of privacy, you are committing a financial crime in the United States. I don't necessarily agree with that, but that is what the precedent states. Coinjoin is structurally different. It's completely different. It's a collaborative Bitcoin send transaction where you're never giving up custody. That breaks the probability analysis that's used to track Bitcoin. So I think any Bitcoiners that are conflating the term mixing with the term Coinjoin are doing themselves a disservice and everyone else a disservice. You're obviously welcome to do whatever you want to fucking do. And shout out to those who are not asking permission. But just keep that in mind as this topic starts to heat up more.
Keep it in mind. Is this going to be a trial by jury or?
I don't know.
So that'll be interesting because if it is a trial by jury, will the defense be able to be like, hey, like you can't even look at what chain analysis is saying? They can say essentially whatever they want without.
How is that determined? I thought everyone gets a trial by jury. Isn't that like?
I think it's depending on
part of the deal.
Maybe for civil crimes, if this is a federal crime.
Well, no, FTX was a trial by jury.
Yeah, but was that civil? Did they bring federal charges against him?
Yeah, because he's going to jail. Like, you can't go to jail in a civil lawsuit.
That's true.
You just lose money.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what determines trial by jury. Let's look it up.
I think he gets a trial by jury. He's not American, though. Yo, old man Bills in the comments. I see you. You're on the YouTube chat. If you go to rhr.tv/stream, you can be in our Noster chat where you can zap us directly.
Apparently,
he's asking why we don't have lightning addresses underneath our names. Noster fixes that. We don't need that. You can just zap natively in our Noster comments. We have freaks already over there. There's over 20,000 sats that have been zapped. Weird robot saying it's barely working. Yeah. Well, that's disappointing.
Old man Bill's BTC. Loser. Judges may order a trial by jury with party consent. I don't know what determines trial by jury.
Not a lawyer. I think everyone gets the right to a trial by jury. I don't know. Fuck it. I'm not pretending to know.
Yeah.
Next topic.
Shout
out Roman. He's innocent.
Building on the mixing versus Coinjoin conversation, Swan Bitcoin going to limit customers interacting with privacy services due to partner policy on their banking side. So Swan sent an email this week that said our banking custodial partners have made an update that could affect your account. It essentially said, hey, our banking partners are saying if their chain analysis tools determine that your customers have been interacting with Coinjoin implementations or mixing services, we will ban their accounts. And Swan sent out an email, caused a lot of drama. Apparently, if your transaction's more than one hop between Swan and the Coinjoin service, you're good. Matt, what are your thoughts? I'm sure you have plenty.
I mean, look, it's disappointing to see, and part of my previous comment was because there's been a heavy conflation between mixing and Coinjoin and all of the communications around this policy shift, which is just not good to see, because that is, you're doing the anti-privacy people a favor by doing that. There's a couple things here, right? Well, first of all, my basic understanding is that Swan is relying on someone else's MTLs, money transmitter licenses. Money transmitter licenses are heavily regulated, very valuable, and easy to lose. So whoever is controlling those MTLs, I believe, is Fortress Trust, who failed Ripple's due diligence in the buyout situation, is concerned that they're going to lose their MTLs and has pushed Swan's hand. So if you are a Bitcoin company interacting with the legacy fiat system, you should have your own licenses so that you get to choose when it's worth it for you to fight something and when it's not worth it for you to fight something. The second thing is I'm a little bit surprised on the messaging around the hops thing. Usually in AML law and whatnot, you're not supposed to talk about ways to circumvent things. So Swan deserves some credit for actually being out there and talking to people, because it does put them at risk. Last but not least, I expect these attacks to continue. The corrupt politicians do not, they created the Titanic, and they do not want you to get off the sinking ship. They're trying to ban the lifeboats. And if you are going to use a lifeboat, they want to be able to track you so that they could potentially seize it in the future, or charge you some ridiculously burdensome increased tax or something. Because basically a 6102. Like if they increased if they made it like a Bitcoin syntax that was like 80% cap gains only for Bitcoin, that would essentially be a 6102 attack instead of just blanket confiscation. So I think, look, if you're going to use a KYC service, you should be well aware that you are on a list of Bitcoiners in your transaction history. They have your ID. They know how much Bitcoin you bought, when you bought it, and they know your withdrawal addresses and can track your Bitcoin after that fact. You are very vulnerable in that situation. And if you're going to use a KYC service, you should use it with Coinjoin and privacy best practices so that you at least have forward privacy. So not every single transaction you make for the rest of your life is tracked. It's the most responsible way to use Coinjoin. It's the most responsible way to use a KYC service. It's on a list of on the trade-off balance scale, right? So if you are going to use a KYC service, you should use Coinjoin. If you want to try and hide that Coinjoin usage from different services, there are many ways to do that. But it just it's frustrating to see. It sucks when our own people are going against us in terms of Americans putting Americans at risk in terms of privacy. Fortunately not all services are doing this kind of policy yet. But I would assume that more will over time. Like I expect the noose to tighten. The first step in the war was KYC. That really started in this ecosystem in like 2016. It spread like wildfire. It got normalized within like 2.5 years. More anti-privacy shit, anti-sovereignty shit will get normalized. And the ultimate plan is not like the actionable thing here is not to petition policymakers and all this stuff, and like all the power to you. Like people should do that. It should be multi-pronged, but like the real thing that does it is just opting out of the system. And when you buy Bitcoin, it's an exit of the system. That money, in my opinion, should just never be repatriated back into the system. And you should start to understand no KYC services, the P2P trading, stuff like Peach, stuff like HODL, stuff like BISC, RoboSats, and in-person stuff. Strong local communities. If you have miners in your community, they probably have fiat expenses. They're going to want to be able to sell you their Bitcoin so that they don't have to deposit into a KYC service. But this idea that you shouldn't use Coinjoin or other privacy tools because you might get blacklisted is just a complete. I just think it's the completely wrong perspective, because if we're at that point where individual UTXOs are getting blacklisted en masse, the value prop of Bitcoin is bad for everybody. I don't think that's a tenable ground. So I personally I'm not concerned. But yeah, I think that's my comments for now.
Yeah, it goes back to what we started the episode with the Bank Secrecy Act. All of this stuff stems from that very parasitic act that has just had layers and layers of compliance and regulation and data collection built on it over the course of 5 decades. And that's the other thing too. I saw one interesting comment that made me think, like, and who knows how quickly like banks can update terms of service or individual contracts with the counterparties they're engaged with, but somebody's saying, like, could that be potentially like a breach of contract? Like, does Swan or anybody else for that matter actually have to comply with this if it doesn't drive with their actual contract?
Like I said, I'm pretty sure it's happening because Swan doesn't have their own money transmitter licenses. And in that case, like, they're obviously beholden to the owner that is providing them access to their MTLs. I don't know what their specific contracts are or whatnot, but it's a classic example of trusted third parties or security holes, in my opinion. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I think you need to control, like, at the very least. Here's the thing, right? It's like we're completely owned in the fiat system. Completely owned. Like, people talk about, like, oh, I will never use a CBDC, blah blah blah. Like, a CBDC is only just a more efficient version of the panopticon Ponzi money that they already have for us, that everyone uses on a daily basis. Cash offers people the ability to opt out of that system, but they've done different things to try and track that. Like, a bunch of ATMs now will track serial numbers to see which ATMs withdrew money and which ATMs deposited money. And we're seeing similar situation on the Bitcoin side, because once it goes into Bitcoin, regardless of what laws are in place, people can do what they want to do with it, and they can use it in a more private way. You don't have that option. There's no option to Coinjoin and Venmo, right? Like, you can't use Venmo with your own node, hold your own keys, and do collaborative transactions for forward privacy. Like, that's just not fucking possible. So it's inevitable that when the fiat system collides with the Bitcoin system, there's going to be pain there, and regulators are going to try their best to stamp this shit out. And this is that dirty period, right? Like, that is, and I think this is just the escalation. Like, KYC was the first step. Like, if you talk to people in 2015, they would have told you, I will never use a KYC exchange. And if you talk to people today, they will say, I will never use an exchange that is blacklisting UTXOs. But it's a slippery slope. And my fear is that it gets normalized to a degree. And and we're already starting to see it. You see, like, this bifurcation of the market, right? Where you have Bitcoin as freedom money, and then you have Bitcoin as permissioned dollar short position.
Yeah. It's a real shame. I'm not going to go on some political politician. It's not worth it. Just opt
You gonna
out.
do it?
No, it's just like, been doing it for 5. It's
NoKYConly.com.
Go check it out. Moving on the list. Chat control. The EU Parliament adopts position against mass surveillance. European Parliament adopted its draft position on plans to crack down on child sexual abuse online, calling for the new EU rules to avoid mass surveillance or scanning of the internet, but the battle is far from over, as EU Council's position on the issue is still not clear.
So I don't really
have faith in the European Parliament.
I really have no idea how, like, EU governance works. And I'm, like, wondering what the catch is here, because, like, this seems like a very positive win. Essentially, the European countries wanted a backdoor in all encrypted communications, even though, less than 1% is actually used by criminals. And it's mostly just honest people that want privacy. And it seems like it was overwhelmingly rejected by the EU Parliament. So I have no idea what the catch is. I still expect them to try and do backdoors on encryption. But I mean, this is a positive sign. And to the other aspect, like, I would like to see, I think we never really saw any Bitcoin companies ever fight back against KYC or anything like that. They kind of just adopted it. And as these companies get larger, they have bigger war chests. Like, I think the expectation becomes they should be fighting this more. And they should be fighting it from a position of leverage and power, right? And the Swan guys claim that they're fighting it, but if you have your own MTLs, and you have your own relationships directly with banks and whatnot, then you're at least in a better leverage position to fight it. So one thing that I I changed my tune on a little bit was, I'm completely disenfranchised with politics and regulators and whatnot. And to me, the only path has always been just like a parallel opt-out path, right? That doesn't require permission. But I had a really good conversation with Adam Back about this and the early cypherpunk movement. And it was really effective for them that they had multi-pronged approach, right? That they fought it in courts, but they also at the same time were like, fuck you, I will not comply. And they ultimately won in courts. They won in courts. Originally, you couldn't, they were trying to make it illegal for you to publish open source code that allowed you to do encryption. And they won that battle while also building tools that allowed you to opt out without permission. So I think it is a multi-pronged approach. I just don't have much faith in one of the prongs.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe Vivek will get in and
You want to bet on that?
fire 75% of bureaucrats.
Like the bull market is brewing, so I'm going to be trying to bet you. You just let me know when you're ready to bet, Marty, on something.
I'm good.
I'm right here, ready. I'm ready. I'll be the market maker. I'll take the other side.
I'm good. Let's get on to some interesting things I just threw on the list. Logan, if you could pull that up. We saw this week. This is just cool.
What did you throw on the list?
Well, here it is. My bad. This is cool. We're not big fans of OpenAI. However, this is a really cool progression in the AI space. AI agents, something we've talked about. Bitcoin being used as the currency of AI agents, and it seems that the team at FuSats is testing something out using ChatGPT and OpenAI's agents. But we officially have AI agents using Bitcoin over the Lightning Network to pay invoices. And so this is a screenshot of the pre-image of a paid invoice. So the beginnings of Bitcoin sort of seeping into the AI world get more bullish. The momentum is building at the intersection of Bitcoin and AI. Very small step, but really exciting stuff. I think the whole idea of creating wallets for agents that could then go out and complete tasks for you is extremely fascinating. It's going to be a while for that market to fully develop. If you think about it, like ideally you'd be able to give an agent an allowance in Bitcoin over the Lightning Network and say, hey, go book me a flight to Nashville on January 6th between these hours below this price, and just have it go do it. But to do that, you need the person, the airline that you'll eventually fly out on accepting that Bitcoin. But you got to start somewhere. It starts here. And I guess this is a bet I make. In 2025, what will be responsible for more transactions on the Lightning Network, humans or AI?
There's no way to measure that. There's zero way to measure that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Probably,
if we could,
it'll probably be machine to machine, but I probably agree with you.
Yeah.
But there's no way to measure it by design.
Yeah. Which is a good thing.
I mean, it's perfect for that use case. Instantly settled, permissionless, programmatic money, is fucking perfect.
Yeah. So that's cool to say. Futuristic Bitcoin solving problem. Bitcoin is literally the only thing that can solve this problem in this way. Fast instant settlement. You can't do this on the fiat rails. You can't do this with Visa. You can't do this with Stripe.
Well, Sam Altman is probably going to say you could do this with WorldCoin.
Yeah, you probably can. The WorldCoin's a shit coin. You gotta give your
Scan the orb. Scan your eyes in the orb.
going on with the orbs? Has anybody seen an orb in the wild lately?
Yeah, they're running, man.
Where are they?
Full steam ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, in the chat, I've seen this mentioned a couple times. Been seeing some chatter on Bitcoin Twitter about some people being spammed with one sat sends in exchange for
Yeah.
advertising some service or website. This is happening on Noster. So if you have,
It's just happening on any public Lightning address. Like there's services that are scraping public Lightning addresses, including those posted on Noster, and they're sending you free money with a message attached to it. And I mean, I think Wallet of Satoshi just made a change. I think most of the people complaining about it are on Wallet of Satoshi, just because like when I'm receiving, I'm not like looking at the messages of my 1 sat per byte on like on Zeus or something. Like I receive a ton of 1 sat per bytes through Podcasting 2.0. But with Wallet of Satoshi, they give you a notification every message. So they just changed that. So like people were actually like their phone was getting pinged with the advertisements, and it was just basically the advertisement was in the note of the payment.
There's ways around. I mean, shout out to Vita, what they're working on, particularly with text messaging. Phone calls, they allow you to set an allowance where to receive a message, you have to send a payment over a certain threshold set by the user. So you can imagine.
Yeah, Wallet of Satoshi could do that really easily.
Yeah.
They could just be like, you know, I don't show me the message unless it's over 100 sats.
Yeah, something like that. There's a cool way. I mean,
they could have like a little slide bar or whatever.
Yeah, and you can see like the emergence of more accurate advertising purchases. Obviously, advertisings can be annoying, but it has been effective in the past. I have bought things after watching advertisements, and I've been thankful that that ad made it my way because I like the product. You can imagine a world in which companies get really good at understanding their target demographics, and are able to sort of pay them to listen to their ad and say, hey, I think you're gonna like this product, you should buy it.
Yeah, I mean, fuck ads in my opinion, but besides our wonderful sponsors at RHR, but yeah, to me, like this is completely overblown. Like there's no, like it's not spam. Just send me your sats. I'll take your sats. I'm not reading your message. I'm just letting you know. Send me the sats.
What if somebody sent you like 5,000 sats? Would you read the message?
No.
No? Interesting. 10,000? 100,000?
Who is opening up their Lightning wallet to read messages? I open up my Lightning wallet when I need to pay or I need to receive. And that's the reason I'm opening my Lightning wallet.
Yeah.
I'm not like scrolling through my payments to read the messages. Not happening.
No, that's why like something like Vita is interesting because it's literally an app that's designed to pay if advertisers or spammers are gonna
fuck that shit.
Have to come through you and pay.
Not for me. Maybe it's for people. You know, there's tons of people that love, you know, coupon cutting and sats back and stuff like that. And those people will probably happily read your message for the right price. It's just not me.
Matt, not staying humble, not reading messages.
I'll take the sats. I'm humble enough to take the sats and not complain about them. There's a lot of people out there that aren't being humble and are complaining about the sats they're receiving.
Yeah. True. All right, moving on the list.
Oh yes, to Ethan, if you do a boost, we'll read the top 4 messages out loud. But that is a particular agreement that we have with you guys.
Speaking of which, we're almost getting to boost.
We skipped the boost last week. We didn't read the messages.
Yeah, we were live.
Yeah.
So moving on, we got 2 more. Interesting. 2 more things before we get to software updates, boost, and software updates. Human Rights Foundation launched its CBDC tracker. If you were in Nashville or just listened to last week's RHR, you got this alpha early. They announced it this week, but we talked about it last week. This is the value rabbit hole recap, why you come in and week out to get the alpha. Human Rights Foundation has a CBDC tracker out there. Now they're going to be tracking this and reporting back on what's going on. That was alpha last week. I have alpha this week.
Hit
If you're
us.
interested in some alpha.
Send it to me as a lightning message.
No, I'm just going to tell you right now. There's going to be a big report that drops next week. And essentially, I believe confirms that F2 pool has been intentionally.
I don't think we're supposed to talk about that.
Was told to get into it.
I was told not to talk about it.
I was told to get into it.
Okay. If you insist.
F2 pool, not mining OFAC transactions that are on the OFAC list. Transactions for wallets on the OFAC list.
I was told not to talk about this.
I was told to get into it.
Taste that delicious irony that all eyes were on the two KYC massive pools, Ant Pool and Foundry, and then just Wang Chun comes out, just like hold my beer, and just starts blacklisting OFAC transactions.
Yeah.
So what is your thoughts on this, Marty, since you want to talk about it?
Predictable. Coming. Great shame. And was not expecting it to be F2 full out of the gate. Wang Chung has been a bit sporadic in the past.
Yeah, I mean, no one can force a mining pool to mine transactions. They get to choose what they want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it has been expected that some mining pools would blacklist certain transactions at some point. This is why it's important that miners can switch mining pools. This is why it's important that there are multiple mining pools. This is why transaction fees are important, because if a transaction is not getting confirmed, you keep increasing the transaction fee. You are incentivizing a different miner to mine it and make more money than a blacklisting miner. In a high fee environment, a blacklisting miner should make significantly less money. In a sustained high fee environment, should make significantly less money than a non-blacklisting miner. This is why small pirate miners are important. This is why home mining is still important. What are your thoughts on this, Marty? Do you have any further thoughts? I thought I wasn't supposed to talk about this, so I'm like a little bit off right now.
It's coming out on Monday anyway. Might as well get the alpha. I was told probably should talk about it, get in front of it.
Yeah, but my concern is like you have to be.
So
the good guys have to be careful about the messaging here, because it's like it's like, oh, but F2 pool's doing it. Why aren't you doing it? And that's why like people should be a little bit. People being us should be a little bit deliberate in how they discuss the topic.
Yeah. I think we'll just get it out there. We don't have to dive too deep into it until we know the nitty-gritty details. I haven't seen the paper myself, but
anyway, fuck you, Wang Chun. Next topic.
Mutiny wallet users can no longer zap Zeuspay users. What's going on? We got.
Holy shit! The Mutiny boys woke up this morning and chose violence. Read the last two paragraphs. Read the whole thing.
Okay. We have recently disabled the ability to zap Zeus wallet users from Mutiny. You may still pay their invoices or Lightning Network addresses normally, but a big problem we were seeing was forced closed channels due to stuck payments to Zeus due to their workarounds with locked payments, which harm both the user experience and other Lightning nodes on the network. Since Nostr users are mostly unaware if they're zapping as Zeus users or not, we are taking the step proactively to protect users from having a 10-sat zap costing them serious on-chain channel closing and reopening fees. The approach we are working on for solving Lightning addresses on mobile wallets is a Fediment hybrid approach where the sats end up at a federation if you are offline but get swept to your self-custodial channel when you come online. Payments will settle instantly with the federation and it won't lock up unnecessary HTLCs on the network. Ideally, we get the ability to do offline received normally on Lightning Network, but the future is looking really grim with LND's continued priorities on shitcoins instead of features. And offline receives depends on a network-wide upgrade. We petition Zeus to move to a more responsible node implementation like LDK, unless their plan is to add shitcoins to break LN further.
Those last two lines, man. They chose violence. Be aware, freaks.
It's exact. I mean, have you talked to Evan about this?
No, I haven't had the chance yet. We talked about it preemptively at length in the Citadel Dispatch that Evan was on. I'm gonna have the Mutiny guys back on, and we're gonna discuss their viewpoints and how they're looking at it. And I would like to have Evan on with them. That'd be awesome. So hopefully that happens. But yeah, I mean, that's quite the post.
Yeah.
Particularly in this environment, like it's really like shout out to all the wallet maintainers out there, like building wallets and building other user-facing tools in a high-fee environment. Like it is a thankless job. Like people are getting their channels forced closed. They're paying 50% in transaction fees to open a new channel. Like it's crazy out there, and the support tickets are crazy, and everyone's asking all these different things. So in a perfect world, I think both Evan and the Zeus guys and Mutiny guys would love to have a sustainable, scalable way that payments could happen between their two wallets and all the other wallets in the network. But in the meantime, I respect the fact that Mutiny's like time is of the essence. Fees are fucking insane right now, and if we don't shut this off right now while we try and figure things out, people are going to pay massive channel close fees. And they don't really have a choice, right? They just have to do it now before all their users are just when you zap a Zeus thing, their channels are getting closed a lot of the time. So it's hard to see how they had another option, but I mean they didn't have to. Like those last two lines are pretty brutal.
Let's read it again. Ideally, we get the ability to do offline receives normally on Lightning Network, but that future is looking really grim with LND's continued priorities on shitcoins instead of features, and offline receives depends on a network-wide upgrade. We petition Zeus to move to a more responsible node implementation like LDK unless their plan is to add shitcoins or break Lightning Network further.
Yeah, so the context there is Zeus is built on LND and Mutiny is built on LDK.
Yeah, I really think that was more of a knock on LND than Zeus, particularly.
Yeah, I mean 100%, but also like Evan, very connected to the LND team.
Yeah. Drama.
Zeus makes a massive trade-off for receiving Lightning address payments, and it's important to realize that as far as I'm concerned, as far as I'm aware, there's I think Blixt implemented something similar, but besides them and Zeus, you're either running your own node to do Lightning address or you're using a custodial wallet like Wallet of Satoshi. And so Zeus makes this trade-off where there's this HODL invoice where a payment can be locked up for up to 24 hours before it gets settled because the receiver needs to go online. So he made a hack. It's a hack trade-off. He's aware of it. It doesn't play nice with Mutiny Wallet and probably a bunch of other wallets. Mutiny just sees it happening. And here we are. And this is the beauty of it, right? It's a proper free market, no permission required to innovate. And there'll be battles and tensions and different things happening. But at the end of the day, like users should have better tools as a result. Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah. I mean, I like this Fediment workaround. That Mutiny's thinking. That's really a really cool design and user experience trade-off.
Yeah, it's a good use of Fediment, right? And this is one of the things, but it's a good, it could be a good use of Fediment, but it's also because like we don't have proper async payments and stuff like that in Lightning. And this is always why I've been optimistic about the Fediment project, almost to a fault. I've gotten a lot of shit for being optimistic about it, even though there's nothing really out there in production yet. And that's because it doesn't expect any changes to Bitcoin. It doesn't expect any changes to the Lightning protocol. It doesn't expect any changes from other wallets. It is just a pragmatic viewpoint that if Wallet of Satoshi is going to dominate this single sig custodian model where you're just trusting them with your privacy and trusting them with your custody, that we can build similar projects that have reduced custodial risk, still have custody risk because it's multi-sig custodian, and that have privacy from the custodian because of Chamonix Cash. So to me, Fediment's always been a very pragmatic project, and this idea of like using Fediment for low value or offline stuff, and then because you have a full Lightning node built into Mutiny, you can then, when they come online, you can just migrate it over to the self-custody portion of the wallet, or when it hits a certain threshold. That makes a lot of sense. It's really pragmatic. The question is, who runs the Fediments? Like who's the multi-sig custodian? Because very few people actually want to be a custodian. It requires, there's an immense amount of liability if you are a custodian.
Because the Bank Secrecy Act, let's go repeal it.
Yeah, that Coin Center should just literally just spend their whole budget, because they're already doing this. They should literally just spend their whole budget on Bank Secrecy Act stuff.
How does I don't know if I'm blowing up a spot, but how's Calais take? Is he just like YOLOing it with Cashew?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much every no KYC custodian is just YOLOing it. And I wish them all the best. Like, I think people are like, when I talk about Wallet of Satoshi and I'm concerned about rugs and stuff, like, I believe we should live in a world where there can be many Bitcoin custodians and they don't have to do KYC, and they're competing on the free market between, free market based on fees and reliability and uptime and belief that they're not going to rug like that. Would be how we'd be in that world today. And actually, a lot of people would have better privacy by default, because every time you go into one of these custodial wallets, you're breaking the trail on chain. But history has shown that if you are running one of these, you are going to be put under pressure at some point. And the unfortunate reality is it's really hard to unwind one of these custodians. We've seen there's been so many custodial Lightning wallets that I've had to unwind since the beginning of Lightning, and it's always a fucking messy process. BTC Pins is clarifying that Cashew is a protocol, not a service by a company, but he means his particular instance, like the main instance of Cashew.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and look, maybe someone wants to fight that in court and say that if you're a Bitcoin only custodian and you're not touching fiat or whatever, you don't need KYC. I'm not going to fight that in court. Someone might want to. That could be a thing. Maybe it's different. Maybe you win in court. But that's kind of how I view it. And then just one other thing I wanted to add about the F2 pool stuff. Mempool.space has really good tools about auditing blocks to see, which transactions aren't included. I think that would be a really useful feature if they were like checking certain lists and like proof of censorship, so we don't have to like wait on reports and stuff. If there's like an actual like dashboard where you can look at a block and have an idea if something was censored or something wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, whether it's KYC, not allowing people to engage in Coinjoin transactions, certain hops away from an exchange, or at the pool level, it seems like the cuckification of different layers of the Bitcoin stack is coming. And we've discussed this in the past, I think. I discussed it yesterday with some people. It was on what Bitcoin did. We with Thomas Pacquiao and James McCavity. I'm not sure when that will be out, but without blowing the whole conversation, we do really have to thank Satoshi for the aggressive supply schedule that gives us a vast majority of Bitcoin held in self custody. Look at that! Look at this. It is a line with which to defend. It will be ceded.
It definitely helps, but I do want, like, how relevant is, so like there's two numbers you could track, right? There's a number like total Bitcoin outstanding has identity attached to it, right? And like that percentage is probably tiny, right? It's like 5% or something because of the supply schedule, right? Because like before 2016, most services didn't require KYC. So like you always hear like the OGs or whatever, like, I don't understand like why you stack with KYC, because like they were pre 2016 and like it was just super easy to like accumulate a large position in Bitcoin, or the miners or whatever. Like, so that number, I don't know what you think that number is, but like maybe it's like 5% or 10% of total Bitcoin outstanding is attached to a government identity. But then there's the other number, which is like of new users, how, like, what percent are coming in with it attached to their identity. And like that is probably 98% or something like that. And for those people, I don't think the supply schedule really matters that much. That like the overwhelming majority aren't attached to identity, but like theirs are. And like everyone they transact with are. So I don't know. I like, it's definitely helpful that was the case. I just don't know how much of a benefit that really gives us, I guess.
Maybe we'll find out. Maybe we'll find out one day.
Do you agree with my numbers?
Ballpark.
Yeah, like 5-10% of total, but then like 98% of new.
Yeah.
Like even the miners, what, like it's like 52% of the hash is KYC now.
Yeah.
By different entities though. One is KYC by China and one is KYC by US.
Yeah. Cuckification. Will you defend it? Will you take your rights and defend them? We'll see. We shall see. On to the software update section. I do have to get going here soon too, so we'll blow through that. But before we do that, it's been a great discussion. We got some alpha on the show. Matt's not happy about it, but yeah.
It was so funny because when I found out about it, I was like, okay, so are you telling me so I'm supposed to put them on blast, or am I supposed to be quiet about it? It's like, be quiet about it. I was like, okay. Then
I got the exact opposite.
I wonder if it's the same person. Just working us against each other.
We'll find out. We've got to go back to Rabbit Hole Recap 277. Tether stacking 4 billion a day. We really got to give a shout out to Chris with a palindrome boost, 321,123 sats. Maybe the biggest boost we've ever gone. I think we might have gone to half a mil before. Certainly top 10.
How much?
321,123.
Thank you. Appreciate you, freak.
Stay humble, stack sats. Thanks.
Great advice. That's a message I'll read every day.
At Cum Rocket.
Cum Rocket.
100,069 sats. Sacktown Bitcoiners meetup Thursday, November 30th, 2023 from 7 to 9 p.m. at the Arden Dimmick Library, which is at 891 Watt Ave, Sacramento, California. Join us on Thursday for a Noster presentation by Sean. Noster, in parentheses, notes and other stuff, transmitted by Relays, is a fairly new, completely decentralized social networking platform that is censorship resistant. I just want to be clear. It's not a social networking platform. It's a communications protocol.
Yeah, it's a fucking protocol.
Following the presentation, we will have a discussion on current events in the Bitcoin/Noster world. Hope to see you there. LFG, let's fucking go.
So I talked to someone at Nosterville last week, whenever the fuck it was. that they said they found out about their local meetup in the middle of fucking nowhere on a RHR shout out. Which is really fucking cool. He was like listening. He was like, "Oh shit, I live 20 minutes from there," and then just went.
Was it a good meetup?
Yeah, he says he's very active in the community now.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking badass.
Maybe this podcast just becomes a meetup announcement podcast.
It works for me.
Somebody's
Momentum is building.
Somebody's trying to tear us apart on Twitter right now.
Why?
At iCoinoclasting. Not sure you guys are on the same page enough to even justify the time commitment to this pod anymore.
Marty and I agree on 99.5%, and we join you weekly to argue about the last 0.5%.
Agreed. Maybe he was talking about like schedules, since we've been all over the place the last.
I mean, we've literally just been arguing this whole episode. Those are my favorite episodes.
Same. Moving on, top 4 boosts from 277. Number 3, 100,000 sats. Great rip. Looking forward to PubKey in December. Epic final thoughts from Odell. F the suits. If you recall, you were outside. We did a cold close. Probably the best cold close we've done in quite a while.
I meant it. I'm out stacking you. Fucking suits.
Last but not least, from Rip 277, Spaniel 77,777 sats, 7s across the board, palindrome boost. Marty, you need to improve your Norwegian skills. Very good. God. Okay. Let me type this in.
What are you doing? Just go for it, bro.
Logan, here, pull up the so people can see what I'm supposed to read right now. I don't know if you can get a fountain. 277, Spaniel. Improve your Norwegian skills. Please read out loud. Ver ydmyk stable sats, which means stay humble, stack sats.
Great advice.
Ver ydmyk. How do you pronounce that? It's VER space YDMYK. YDMYK.
Marty didn't even know this language existed 2 weeks ago.
I just didn't know what it was called. People of Norway had their own native language. I forgot it was Norwegian. I thought people from Norway were referred to as Norwegians. And now I'm embarrassed. The Spaniards, people from Spain are Spanish, and they speak Spanish. Every once in a while, you get some brain frog. Spaniel, thank you for the Norwegian.
Just say brain frog.
Logan coming in hot.
Logan, shut the hell up. Only speak when spoken to, Logan.
You can speak whenever you
Come
want.
rocket.
Permission.
It's funny you hit that, Logan, because number 1 boost from Rabbit Hole Recap 278 live from Nashville was from Come Rocket. 100,069.
Thank you, sir.
Bakersfield Bitcoin Meetup, Thursday, December 7th, 2023, from 5 to 10 p.m. at Lengthwise Brewing Co., 7700, or excuse me, 77,000, 7700 District Boulevard at 7700. Oh, brain fog is right. Brain frog. 7700 District Boulevard, Bakersfield, California. Friendly Bitcoin only meetup. Come and learn and talk about Bitcoin and the freedom it brings. The brewery accepts Bitcoin and Lightning payments that come with a load of Lightning wallets. Would like to buy beer with sats. Go check that out. Again, that's Thursday, December 7th, 5 to 10 p.m. at Lengthwise Brewing Co. in Bakersfield, California.
Make sure.
Go ahead.
I just was going to say, make sure when you buy beer for sats that you sell advertising spots to your note when you pay the bar. So then you get a little sats back. You're good.
It's a good idea. Matt's trying to get you guys to stack more sats. At Stimmy, 50,001 sats. Next boost is from Ride or Die. Eric99, 50,000 sats. Stay on the stack sats. Great advice. Thanks, Eric. Stimmy.
He gave you the whole readout? He wrote down what you were supposed to read?
He did this 6 hours ago. And Eric,
he's a true ride or die.
Eric99 boosted us 50,000 sats and said stay humble, stack sats.
Oh, so it was someone else boosted Eric99.
No, you're very confused. Stimmy's trying to get you confused.
He's
Right?
trying to, but he's supporting the show. So thank you,
Yeah.
Freak. We appreciate you.
Successfully confused you by writing a script and made it seem like I was reading Eric99's, but I was reading his boost.
To be consistent with not reading messages, I don't read any of these boosts ahead of time. I let Marty tell me live on air. It's my privilege.
Your privilege.
Yeah, because you read them. You don't get that same. You don't get to hear them for the first time on air.
No, I usually do.
I mean, you're reading them.
Yeah, like for the first time on air.
I know, but the way I get to hear them is I get to hear you tell me them.
Yeah.
Which is my privilege. I was just being grateful.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Software updates. I got to run here soon. Big updates. What is Fulcrum?
Fulcrum is the Electrum server.
The Electrum server.
That was like made by Bcachers or BSV, but it's great.
Fulcrum version 1.9.6 has been released with a minor protocol upgrade. L&D, which the Mutiny guys are not happy with. Too focused on chick flexibility. Version 0.17.1 beta optimizations and bug fixes come with this protocol or that upgrade. That version. Brainfrog. Phoenix Android version 2.12 and iOS version 2.0.7 have been released. Zeus version 0.8.0 beta has been released, and I think we have another nobsbitcoin.com typo. I think it's supposed to say new branding. It says new banding. Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea what new banding would be, so you're probably right.
Yeah.
How sexy is the new Zeus logo?
It is sexy. But I don't know. I think I got to side with the Mutiny guys here. Zeus, Evan, like I'm not a big fan of these invoices.
I'm gonna side with Wallet Wars. I like Wallet Wars. Let's fucking go. You're all my friends. But even if you're not my friends, join the war. Everyone join the battle, and the consumer will win.
I want to be clear. You're my friends too. Respect all the work you guys do. I use Zeus. I use Mutiny. These particular HODL invoices, not a fan of them. Especially in this fee environment.
So just, let's be honest, like 99% of people are just going to use Wallet as Satoshi anyway, so.
I don't know. I'd like to see the breakdown.
I mean, the breakdown is like 80% on Nostr using Wallet as Satoshi. And then it's like a breakdown of other custodians after that.
It's not 99%.
Okay.
It is a Pareto distribution, though. Almost.
But like, what is the percentage of people that are using the @Zeuspay Lightning address? Like, that's not taking away from Sovereign Lightning address usage. It's not like those users aren't people that would otherwise be using their own node and running their own Lightning address. Yeah. Anyway, I'm pro Wallet Wars. Let's fucking go. I support both of you guys.
Breeze SDK Core version 0.2.9 has been released. Breeze
Enter the Wallet Wars, Roy. Roy, where do you? I saw Roy retweeted the Mutiny side, so he's in the war too. Sorry for outing your repost. It's public. It's on Nostr forever.
You heard it here first, Roy. Nostr's forever. Blixit Wallet version 0.6.9. Nice. Simple Taproot channels are now available. Persistent mode and more.
Blix doesn't get enough love. Great wallet. Check it out. Cross-platform.
Cashew Nutshell. That's what I was referencing earlier. Nutshell. Version 0.14.0 has been released. P2PK. It's pay to pub key. DLEQ proofs. I don't know what DLEQ stands for. Minton Wallet.
To answer Cypher Hoodlum's question, I cut my hair and cleaned myself up because momentum is building and I'm getting ready for the bull market.
I was shocked when I saw Matt last week in person. I walked into the room. I was like, whoa. The first time I've seen you get a haircut in like 2 years.
Momentum is building.
Fediment version 0.1.4 has been released with bug fixes, extending client functionality. On to Noster updates. NIP41 key rotation is now in Noster.
This is massive. Pablo couldn't join us in the live chat, but this is another Pablo. Another moment for us all to thank Pablo for helping build out Noster. So the idea is relatively simple. You lose your Noster, you lose access to your Noster private key. Or no, you don't lose access to your Noster private. Your Noster private key gets compromised. Someone else gets access to it, right? And you want to switch to a new public key. Like this one's compromised. The scammer's posting on your Noster profile. NIP41 is a proposal that is very simple, backwards compatible, that allows you to essentially say, this pub key is going to be the pub key that I switch to in the future. And then if you send out a message, it'll clients will hopefully respect that and switch to the new pub key. So you're essentially signing your new pub key ahead of time. Kind0.io is a relatively simple project that Pablo built on top of this proposal that can do it in practice. So you put your new NPub in here and you sign it with your existing NSEC. And then going forward, at worst comes to worst, if someone compromises your private key, you can simply just send out a message saying, I've been compromised, and all respecting clients should switch over to the new pub key. Really awesome. Fucking awesome to see. Thank you, Pablo.
Go, Pablo. Kind0.io. If you're listening, you want to check it out. So link to this in the show notes. And we've been made aware, Matt, that I yelled at Logan in the comments, but it's really your fault because of Restream. You don't update the YouTube show notes on the go. So people are reading like software updates from 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think usually Logan then like goes in like 15 minutes after the show starts and corrects my issue.
Yeah, well, people in the live chat are getting bad links of downloading software from 2 years ago.
Well, I would say, why are you on YouTube? Just go to rhr.tv/stream. There's no show notes. And you can read the show notes when it goes out on the podcast feed.
Apparently, Zap crashed like 5 minutes in.
Okay, well, I saw Kieran in the comments trying to fix it, so maybe it works now. But I'll take personal responsibility for that. I do not put the show notes in YouTube ever. Sorry.
All right. That's what we like to see here.
Sorry, not sorry.
Accountability, personal responsibility. That's all we can ask for. So thank you for that. Flockster, events and meetups on Noster.
Okay. This is huge. This is the meetup.com competitor that uses Noster. It's fucking beautiful. It is pretty. It looks nice. Meetup.com is fucking trash. Eventbrite is fucking trash. I fucking hate those projects, and because of network effect, we're often compelled to use them, particularly at Bitcoin Park. And like you guys use it in Austin. It's most meetups use meetup.com. So this is a Noster native alternative. But it's pretty cool. Like he made it so like you can also just use an email address and a password for like normies that are not used to Noster yet, because that would be a deal killer if you're trying to run a meetup and you expect people to already be on Noster this early in the adoption cycle. One thing I would add is I hate the STR naming scheme.
Oh, I was just gonna say we need to do a naming. We need to judge this name.
So I don't have this in the list, but Terry, who has Confster, he came to Nosterville, and I was a little harsh. But he changed the name to Commingle. So shout out to Terry for coming up with a different name and a different brand that doesn't have STR at the end. And yeah, that's my 2 sats. And if you need me to send you a message, a lightning payment message with my 2 sats, I could do that as well.
Your literal 2 sats?
Yeah, so not 1 sat, 2.
Yeah, I mean, Zach, who created Flockster, was at Nosterville as well.
Yeah, but I didn't talk to him about it.
Did
you talk to him about it?
No, I didn't talk to him about the name. Briefly talked to him.
It's a bad name.
Monster. It's a bad name. It's a bad name. Stop,
Great
like,
project. Great project. Incredibly
Very
bullish on it.
very
Horrible
beautiful.
name.
Horrible name. Yeah. Anybody like stop with the Noster. Stop like working birds into it. Stop.
Marty's not pro birds. I'm cool with the birds. You can do
Birds
birds.
aren't real. Birds aren't real, so we shouldn't perpetuate.
Birds
that.
are real.
Birds aren't real, dude. Don't perpetuate the psyop by playing into it
Birds are real.
with flocks. Just call it like that's the other thing too. Like,
Well, like John Delaney's like STR is good because it lets people know they can use their NPubs. You guys are just wrong. Like what? Like a dozen people?
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
who
It's
are
all
these people?
commercially acceptable. You want to like Trojan horse people into Noster. You want them to see like what is this like an STR thing? That Noster
Oh, just
thing.
sign up
No,
to Flockster.
yeah, you just give them an app, and they could somehow get like a private public key pair on Noster. They get an account, and they're like, oh, they're on because they wanted to use a Meetup app better than Meetup.com.
I think he should name it Flock You.
Flock you.
Yeah, Flock
Oh.
You.
Nah.
I'm kidding. I don't know. Name it whatever the fuck you want to name it. We'll still shill it regardless. I just don't think it's a good name.
Yeah,
Thank
that
you
was
for
a
building it.
naming criticism of the week. Sorry, Zach. Come up with a better name. Primal Android version 0.20.4 has been released, and iOS version 0.90.3 has been released running Primal.
Go flock yourself.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, like imagine if Primal was named Primster. Like that would just be fucking stupid. Like just think of a name. Just come up with some fucking name.
Primster.
Yeah, no. Yeah, right? Like this is ridiculous.
Yeah. Agreed. Go check out Primal. They've been
I
crushing
don't even
it.
think like Fiat Jeff didn't even like think he like Noster, like he just like decided it was just whatever. You know, like there wasn't much thought into the name Noster alone, let alone all the derivative projects using the same stir. I don't know. I feel strongly about it. But also do what you want.
I mean, Bitcoin went through the same thing. You had all these companies like Bit, Block, Chain.
Coin, all the
Well,
coin companies.
Yeah.
But this is where the stir at the end, because it just you lose track of it in your head. There's so many stirs. I don't know which stir is which.
Everybody go flock yourself and come up with better names, please.
There we go. Mic drop. This Primal update was pretty big update. If I'm going to leak a little alpha, the next update's going to be fucking massive, but this one was big.
Are you allowed to leak that alpha? Is that bigger alpha than F2 pool?
I mean, I didn't say what it was.
Am I going to get in trouble for leaking that alpha?
I don't know. Who the fuck did you talk about? Maybe I'm going to get in trouble. Maybe you're going to get me in trouble for it.
That would be funny. I'd get a laugh out of that. I'd get a laugh. Wow,
BTC pins. I'm going to make an online Noster-based spoon store. Stir.
Stir. Mouthful. All right, let's wrap this up.
Sorry.
I got to get Spiral grantee. A Spiral grant has been awarded to Will Clark. He is product managing Bitcoin projects for Bitcoin Core. Unicorn janitor Will Clark. Spiral, you're getting too cute with these descriptions. This is too much. Shout out to Will. Thank you for all your janitor work on Bitcoin Core. It's extremely important, extremely boring, extremely laborious. Maybe it's not boring for you, Will, but
Appreciate you, Will. Well deserved.
yes. Last but not least, go ahead.
No, last but not least.
Zero Sync receives a Spiral grant to work on Bitcoin proofs as well. Zero Sync. Using zero knowledge proofs. Does this do IBD? Yeah, to do IBD.
Make it easier to run your own node.
Yeah. Cool to see.
Shout out to Spiral. Keeping the money rolling. Supporting open source contributors.
Yeah. So Robin Linus is the guy behind Zero Sync. Also the guy behind one of the guys behind BitBM. really into zero knowledge proofs. Zero sync seems really cool.
I agree.
All right, I'm gonna get back to the blockchain conference.
I just wanted to
getting
yeah.
into shitcoin cycle. I'm becoming a shitcoin influencer. This show may end. My career may end. It's time to ape into shitcoins. I'm tired of doing like the low time preference Bitcoin stuff. I'm exhausted, man.
Well, Marty, fuck you. If that's the path you decide to proceed, it was a good run on RHR, and I just want to say, just appreciate, like, we live in this beautiful moment where the wallet that has the node in the phone is fighting the wallet that has the node in the browser, and no one knows who's going to come up victorious. Like, it's going to be fucking beautiful. So enjoy it while we have it, and stay humble and stack sats.
Yeah, we should bum fights brought to the Bitcoin wallet world.
We'll pay with Lightning. We'll advertise too. It'll be great.
Yeah. Should we do like a charity wrestling match?
Charity bum fights for a good cause. It's for the children.
Who do we pick for Mutiny versus?
We could call it Bumster.
Bumster. I like this. This
It's
is a good
right?
name. Bumster is actually a good.
Yeah, it's a good time to use the stir at the end. You know.
Yeah.
Every bum has an end pub. We can zap them. You know, it'll be great.
I mean, Ben Carmen sort of looks like a bum, so it's fitting that that'd be the first fight. Maybe is there Ben and Evan in there? Maybe that's who we get with.
Evan cleaned himself up. He's
All
ready
right.
for the bull.
He's ready for the bull. We're gonna be ready next week. We'll have Bumster up and running, and the fight will be commissioned.
Love
We
your
don't know.
freaks.
All right. Peace and love, freaks.